Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Average Movie Review podcast. I just finished watching episode 6 of The Last of Us Season 2, and I am not okay. I'm in shambles. I will start off by saying that there was a few things that I didn't like about the episode, but we'll get into that. But overall, this was a very, very beautiful episode, and I wanted to start off with the first scene right off the bat with Joel's dad and him and the conversation that they have, going through their trauma and explaining the cycle of violence that they live through. Joel's question, you know what you're doing and you've been through it. Why do it, right? And then his father's answer being, "It's like I've never gone too far," which isn't a valid excuse, but you know, he's aware, I guess, at the end of the day, but it's still not valid for what he does. And when he says to him, if you have your own, I hope you'll do a little bit better than me, eventually one day breaking the cycle um, of violence against their own children, right? Somebody said that he broke the cycle, and then some online, and then they were like, well, he didn't really break the cycle, he's still killing people. Yeah, but the point was the value of breaking the cycle of violence against his own children, child abuse and whatnot. And then the way the scene ends, it just felt like I was watching it in a theater, like not like a movie theater, like I mean like a theater, like end of scene. The way he just walks off, and then like the lights fade out, and then it's the next scene in like a Broadway musical or something like that. And it's perfect. The camera work in this episode was absolutely amazing. Um, Moving forward, we get to see Joel and Ellie's last 4 years, I guess. Yeah, I think 4 years roughly of how things were going with the birthdays and everything like that. And, Joel singing to Ellie, another emotional moment, getting that vanilla cake made, carving the symbol of a moth in the guitar. Those are little attention to details. Everything was just beautifully done. The museum scene, the dinosaur scene, absolutely amazing. Um, I will say that I was a little disappointed. There was a couple of scenes in the game that they missed out from. They could have probably done it a little bit better. Maybe added those scenes, but I don't know. I'm gonna be pretty upset if I find out that like they took away like the exhibit scenes. And they actually shot them, because it seems like in the little preview or little BTS thing that they posted, that they were actually part of that exhibit, the dinosaurs exhibit and stuff, and it seems like they shot in there, so I don't know where the footage went. The astronaut and rocket scene was absolutely beautiful to watch. Seeing Joel so happy with Ellie, and like, you know, just the little moments of him helping her open the door, watching her while she experiences what it feels like to be an astronaut, and then seeing a little tear run down his face. You know, feeling good about himself after so many years of tragic, hopelessness, I guess. And now he has a purpose, and he just absolutely, it's, I don't know. He's just, yeah, I think he felt complete at that moment. And that was just a beautiful, beautiful moment right there. Fast forwarding, him finding out she's experimenting with girls, and the tattoo and everything. That was, I thought that was the reason kind of why they were kind of beefing each other, but clearly not, and then him understanding that she needs her own space and whatnot, and then helping her set up in the garage, and they're still doing well and whatnot. Moving forward to the Eugene scene, which was absolutely sad. I also want to say the set designers, kudos to them. Holy crap, man, they are freaking amazing. Each set looked like it was ripped out of the game. Like I can't stress it enough. Like these guys went all out. Like I gotta give it to them. Absolutely amazing. Um, the Eugene scene, which was super super sad to watch, him having no choice but to kill Eugene. Or I suppose there was a choice, but he didn't want to take the risk, I guess. And then that. So coming to this point in the episode, um, I think this is where I'm a little upset, because in the show they're using this as the reason why Ellie's not talking to Joel, or hasn't talked to Joel in many months, exactly 9 months. She's upset that he lied to her, and it was implied that she had figured out what had happened, um, about about the fireflies and all of that and everything. She had realized that Joel had something to do with it, and he lied to her. I didn't like that, because I felt like then the porch scene that happens right after, it kind of takes away from it. And the reason for this is simple. It took Ellie a long time to get over the fact that, she had a purpose, right? She thought that she had a purpose. She's the cure. She could have saved so many lives. And she hated Joel for taking that away from her. So it it took some time for her to get over that, right? And that was established in the game, which is what I really liked, right? So that's why it made the porch scene that more effective, or even more important, and important to the actual structure of the story, right? To understand their relationship as father and daughter. Whereas here in the show, they decided to take it a different route, where she's upset at that, but she knows, like, she doesn't know the truth, but she thinks she knows, right? It's implied that she knows and whatnot, and she's thinking about it, and then she finds out later on. And in the porch scene, not to say it wasn't effective, don't get me wrong, the scene was beautiful. You're selfish, I love you, right? Like, it's truly an Emmy award winning scene, and both Pedro and Bella absolutely killed it in that scene, because the emotion, the tension, everything was there. Everything was there. You cannot deny that. However, I will say, as a person who's played the game, it took away, I think, I don't know, like, not in importance, but it took away, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but it took away something for me. Because to me, when Ellie decides that, you know what, I'm willing to forgive him and move past this, right? And then the tragedy hits with what happens with Joel. You know, it's more impactful. It's super more impactful. How hard it is for them to, you know, how hard it must have been for Ellie to see him dying, especially after the fact that they just kind of started to work on things, or get back to normal, like she it makes her feel like, I didn't spend enough time, or whatever it is, right? Like, she still feels that, you still get that sense. If you're watching the show, and then you're not you haven't played the game, then you will still feel that. But for someone who's played the video game, I feel like it was much more important for her to know the truth and then to forgive him and move on, than to find out the truth and then just move on right away. It takes away from the whole plot, I think, of the game, of the story, really, right? It's Ellie's massive journey of forgiveness and revenge and everything, anger that she had towards Joel for not telling her the truth, the anger of that she has towards Abby for taking him away after the fact that she finally decided to move on. It, it takes away from that. So I say that I do agree with some people online and, like, the reviews and stuff, that perhaps it's taken that away. But if you're just an average casual viewer, you've never played the video game, or you know nothing about it, I will say that you will still feel that level of impact, given that now she knows the truth and whatnot. Like, or perhaps you won't. Maybe you'll feel like maybe she shouldn't have moved on that quickly. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. So, me personally, I just feel like they could have done that better. I feel like they should have revealed it to her maybe 9 months prior to the porch scene, or a year before, and then shown that, she and him are having issues. They're not talking, whatever, right? Like, even if you gave me that, I would have been happy. But again, everybody chooses their own way. But this episode was truly, truly beautiful, minus its flaws. Beautiful, beautiful episode. I will definitely give it an 8.5, 8 out of 10. or even a 9 to be quite honest. I loved it. The visuals, the story, well, leading up to that porch scene, of course, but everything prior to that, everything was just amazing. The way that they let us feel like we were in the video game, the transition scene between Ellie listening to the tape and then pretending like she's going up in space. Beautifully, beautifully done again. Bella Ramsey, again, as we watch every episode, I feel like she's getting better and better at being Ellie. So kudos to her for stepping it up. And Pedro just absolutely killing it as Joel. And it's just, I think this episode just made it harder for fans to fathom the fact that Pedro is no longer part of the show and that Joel is gone. Because believe me, he was such an important character, and seeing this type of episode just breaks your heart. So yeah, so that's what I thought. The next episode will be the final episode that's releasing this Sunday, and I'm super excited to see that. And we know that season 3 will be mostly probably focused on Abby, and then apparently they might even be doing a season 4 because they feel like Abby needs a little bit more time, or there's not going to be enough space. I don't, personally speaking, I don't think you need that much time. I think season 3 is enough. 10 episodes, if you can make it 10 episodes, you can tell the whole story. I don't think you need a season 4 for that, but again, that's up to them to decide. And yeah, catch you on the next review and let me know what you guys think, how you guys feel. All right, talk to you guys soon.